So we are going to go from update feature to create user story. All right. So that should be right under delete feature. So we're going to do it here. So we're going to say it create user story. And then we should say should call the user stories service to create a user story and return the updated project. All right, then we have async. All right, so we're going to start with our inputs. So we have const name. Let's go ahead and say name is going to be user story. I'm going to just do one, but I'm going to edit it, I think, once we look at the projects object we have. And then what is going on with my brain? I should stop recording these videos at night. Const description is going to be equal to user story description. I'm just going to leave it without a number. And then we're going to say const user ID, we're going to say 15. Const project ID, we'll say 1. And then const feature ID, let's say 1 as well. So then the next thing that we need is we need this projects. So we're going to say const projects. It's going to be equal to, and then let's go up here to get user projects. And we are going to copy the projects with statuses. And then let's go ahead and take a look, and then we'll edit as we need to. All right, so it looks like we have 2 projects here. We have a project with 1, 2 features here, and then we have a project with 1 feature here. So I think we can do project ID 1, feature ID 1. That's fine. So it's going to be this one and then this one. And you can see we have a user story 1 already and a user story 2. So let's make this that we are going to be creating a user story 3, and then we'll say user story 3 description. All right. And then let's take a look here, because you can see that we have this then. I'm actually going to just delete this second project, because for our purposes, it does not matter. All right. So then when that's going to be good, but then there's actually only one. Oh wait, what did I mess up? Feature. Oh, I just did 1 feature. So then project 2 has 1 feature with 1 user story, but technically these IDs don't make sense. So then this feature would be, and I'm getting way too in the weeds about it, so this feature is ID 1. So this feature actually would be ID 2. And then this, is there another feature? No. This user story 1 would actually be user ID 3. Okay. So this is going to be 2 projects. Okay. So that is going to be the projects with statuses. So then we want to say const updated project, because that's the next thing that we really will need to mock is right here. Then you will see this. We're going to take this project here. That's going to be our updated project. And then we're going to need to add a user story. And the ID, though, is going to be ID 4 if we're trying to be correct. So then this one was user, so this is ID 4, user story 3, user story 3 description, and then it wouldn't have any tasks yet because we just created it. So task count 0, completed task 0. All right, so that's mocked and looked pretty good. So now let's go ahead and actually mock the resolved values that we need to. So first we're going to start with projects service dot get user projects dot mock resolved value, and then the value that's going to come out is this projects with statuses. The next thing we're going to mock is projects service dot get project by ID, and we are going to mock the resolved value, and that's going to be updated project. All right, so now we can actually call it. So we're going to say const result is going to be await service dot create user story, and then we are going to pass in the name, description, user ID, project ID, and feature ID. All right, now we can say that we expect that our result equals updated project. All right, let's go ahead and run this test and see how we do. All right, so we passed. Let's make sure, create user story. There we go. All right, let's add our other statements. So we expect that projects service dot get user projects, we expect that to have been called. We expect that projects service dot get users projects to have been called with, and then you can see that we call it with the user ID, so let's go ahead and pass that in. Then we expect that projects service dot get project by ID to have been called. And then we expect that projects service dot get project by ID to have been called with. And then if we go look, we pass in the project ID. All right, let's rerun the tests and make sure that they still work. Cool. All right, so now we have the edge cases here. So you can see that if we have a project, then we also need to make sure we have a feature. And if we have a feature, then we'll do this. So now we need to say the edge case of if we don't have a feature. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to copy it and paste it, and then I'm going to, so we will not have an updated project, because that's not going to come up from this. And we won't be even calling get project by ID. All right, I'm also going to kind of close this because this is what's going to happen. Okay, we aren't even going to be calling this. We're going to be doing a try block, but let's kind of go up and edit this. So it actually should throw unauthorized error when feature is undefined. Okay, so we're trying to add a user story description. Our project ID is 1, but then let's say our feature ID is 100. It won't find that within here. Okay, so we're still going to get projects back. It's still going to find the project. So project exists, so now it's going to find the features, but then it's going to see that feature is undefined because it didn't find it. So then it's going to throw an error. So instead of saying const result equals, we're going to say try, and then we'll do this, and then we're going to say catch error, and then we'll say this. All right, then we're going to say that we expect that the error is going to equal new unauthorized exception, unauthorized. All right, and we don't expect anything with the result because that doesn't exist, and get project ID won't be called, but we do expect that the get user projects will be called. So I'm going to pass those in. All right, so now let's go ahead and rerun our tests and see how we do. All right, it throws the unauthorized error when the feature is undefined. Perfect. So now we are going to minimize it, and then we're going to copy it, because now you'll see that we have the use case of if project is not defined. So let's go ahead and copy that and mock that out now. All right, so feature ID that we pass in, let's just say 1, project ID, let's say 100 now, should throw an unauthorized error when project is undefined. All right, so now everything should be the same. All right, and let's run the test to verify. Perfect, and we passed. So that should be good for creating user story. So I'm gonna minimize that. And now we can move on to our update user story. Okay, so that's going to be pretty similar to our update feature. So I'm actually going to copy the update feature and see if we can kind of reuse it as we need to. So this is going to be update user story. Should call the user stories service update user story method and return the updated project. All right, so we are still passing in fields and then user story one edited value, user ID, and instead of feature ID, we're going to pass in user story ID. All right. We will then get a project ID back, and then we'll get an updated project back. And you can see here that we have updated project is a little bit bare bones. So let's say that we're going to update user story 1. User story would have ID 1, name, user story 1 dash edited, description is going to be user story 1 description, and then let's go up here and get what that looks like with statuses. You know, actually I'm just going to take this whole user story object. And I'm going to replace this. So this should be user story 1 edited. All right, and then it can have tasks because we're just editing the name of it, so we can have tasks in it. All right, so we will leave that like that. So then we are going to not call features services, but we are going to call user stories service dot update user story, and then we are going to mock the resolved value project ID. Perfect. Then we're going to call project service get project by ID and mock resolved value updated project. All right, so then we can call update user story with field value user ID and user story ID. All right, we expect result to equal updated project. And here we expect user story service dot update user story to have been called and to be called with user story ID. All right, let's run it and see how we did. All right, update user story, perfect. All right, cool. So that is our test for update user story. And in the next video, we will move on to our final 2 methods in our auth service, create task and update task. See you in a minute.